Hello, thanks for joining me today for today's Criterion Learning Series presentation. I'm Steve Tompkins, a Principal Solutions Architect with Criterion, and today we're going to be talking about our Criterion mobile app 2, which is available today on the Android Play Store. Or if you get Android apps, I know there's various names for those things, as well as the uh, iPhone, iOS App Store. So it's available to download today. First off, I'm going to show you the process that you would go through to download it, and then we'll go ahead and talk about actually using it. So today's a little different. Normally we go into self-service, but there's not really anything to show self-service for the mobile app. So I'm going to change this to be able to see my phone here. So you should be able to see my phone. While I'm showing the screen, I do want to mention we do have some folks in the chat available for Q&A and for the chat to answer questions as they come up. And if you do have any questions, please feel free to post in there and we'll get them answered. And if we cannot, we will get back to you on any questions that you might have. So as you can see here, now I'm using an iPhone. It's going to be the same for an Android phone. We want to reiterate that. I'm searching in the iOS App Store, and you'll see I typed in Criterion HCM. The reason I do that is because you may be aware that there's Criterion as a movie channel. And so if you just type in Criterion, you're going to see a bunch of their things. So I always put in Criterion HCM, but you could search for Criterion and then scroll down and find ours as well. You'll see there's two in here, Criterion HCM, which is the, I would say, older version, the legacy version of our app, which you may be familiar with. And then there's Criterion HCM 2, which is the new mobile app. And I'm going to start from the beginning, which is to download it. So it should just take a few seconds here to download, and then I'll go ahead and open it right here. All right, so when you open up, it's going to ask you for your company ID, as well as your email or username to log in. Now, if you're not familiar with the company ID, that is the beginning of the address that you would type in to go to self-service. So mine happens to be POC-ST. You may have a different one. Of course, it's going to be your company name or initials, abbreviation, something like that. It's the beginning of your web part before the CriterionHCM.com. So it's that part before it. All right, so mine is this, and then it's your email or username, whatever that happens to be. I'm going to show you an example of my employee name, Gary. All right, after you do that, you'll have to put in your password. So whatever your password happens to be there, you can check off Remember Me, which will be nice because then you don't have to log in again. But, perhaps it's a shared phone. You don't want people logging into your thing here. You can uncheck that or not check it, I should say. All right, and then you'll hit sign in. Now, in my situation, I do have multi-factor authentication enabled. So it's asking for that code that you would get from your authenticator. So that's what that is right there. You may not have this step. It's really up to how you have your system configured and how you have your login configured. So as you may be aware, this code does change every, I think, 30 seconds. So what I'm showing you here, of course, is not going to work in 20 seconds. Plus, you don't know my password. All right. Now, here it's asked me, do I want to enable biometrics? So, your Face ID or your fingerprint or whatever, you can choose to enable that. Right. And so this is the login screen or the home screen you're going to see when you first log into the system here. Now, as of today, we are still considering it a beta. It is fully functional. Everything you see here does work. But if you would like to provide feedback, you'll notice here it does say what that is a beta, and you can provide feedback by tapping this and letting us know what the feedback is on this. So perhaps you know message is misspelled or something like that, or something's not working for you, or you have an idea, that's what this feedback is. It's a little different than the customer feedback request that is available through self-service. This is collected differently. Now, you can still go to the customer feedback under the admin and clicking the help button and so forth, and we'll get it. But this is specifically for this app. So maybe it's a little bit more focused. If you have a question or an error, especially, this would be very helpful. And so you just type it in, hit next, and provide your feedback here. All right, so as I mentioned, this is my home screen here. Now, the first thing I might want to do is to click on my picture there, or if you don't have one, put in, your picture there. And so you'll see here how I can, take a photo and do that. I'm not going to use my kids, but you'll see my kids are there. And so I can, use their photo there. So if you don't have one, you can take a photo or select one from your thing there. You'll see here, if you're familiar with the badges that are available in self-service, they're listed here. So I can see which ones I have. I've got 2 of them, and you'll see those there. I can also go to my demographics, my address, and my dependents and emergency contacts. So you'll see if I go to demographics, I can change this stuff. Now, of course, the ability to change is based off of your rights. So if you don't have rights to do that, if your security is not set to allow you to change your name or your birth date or something like that, you're not going to be able to do that here. But as you can see here, I could change something here. So if I see my name's misspelled or something like that, or my birthday is missing, I can go ahead and fix that right here within this here and submit that change. Now, I actually have something pending approval or that has been approved. So it's showing me that it was approved. That's what that approval is up there on the left. If you had something that was pending approval because you changed something, it would let you know that you need to, you have something pending. So if I go in here and change his middle name to Harry hooray, Harry, you'll see here now I can submit this, and it'll be changed if you have an approval, it'll be changed when it's approved. Mine, I don't have an approval, so it got changed right away. And of course, if I went into self-service, I'd see that. Same idea with your address. Now, I think I do have an approval on this one. So if I put in apartment 101, when I submit this, I believe it's going to show me that it's pending. So submitting, and I've got this here. You'll notice here it says highlighted the fields are requiring approval. So, and it does have this recall button. So it'll allow me to recall in the top right. You'll see the recall button there. Right. And then, of course, dependents and contacts. So if you need to go through and change your dependents and contacts, add a new one or something, you can do that. And you'll see, add a new one. So that's available there. You'll notice here, language. So if I do want to change it to another language, maybe I want it in Spanish, this will do this. So if you already have this set in self-service, it will reflect that over here automatically. So if I had been in Spanish, it would show in Spanish. And then I can't do this when I'm sharing my screen here, but this will enable my biometrics. And of course, if I want to log out for whatever reason, that'll make me log back in again. All right. Here you'll see a couple of widgets that show me some information just very quickly right off front here. If I want to view my last pay, click on my pay history and I can view that information. And download in my pay stub if I like. You'll see here this button in the top right allows me to download. Of course, I can also just open these up if I want to see this detail and see that information there about this particular pay stub. But this will allow me to download it with my social if I want to check that box there, a copy of this that I can then save on my phone. Right. And of course, prior years are available if you want to go back and look at your history from a different year. All right, same thing with upcoming time off. You'll notice here this is my approved upcoming time off. I actually do have one that was submitted, but not approved, so it's yellow. And you'll see those here. Here's one in the past. Here's my total balance, the 96 hours of vacation, 11 hours of sick leave. And I'm, of course, looking in this year, so it's 2025. But if I do want to go back and look at, last year's vacation and stuff like that, I can do that. All right, doing a request is the button in the bottom right where I want to make that request. You'll see here, my different plans and stuff like that I have available. So what am I going to do? Let's do sick leave as an example. And let's say the end of the month. Right. Do I want to document this? Do I want it to be all day or not? If it's not all day, what time do I clock in and so forth? I'll make it all day for easy stuff. And if you do have your timesheet fields enabled where you need to fill in like project and stuff like that, you'll have to select those down there at the bottom. At the top here, you'll see a check that'll save it. The little arrow, I like to think of it as a paper airplane, will submit it. So if I just want to save this because I'm thinking about it and I'm not ready to submit, I can do that. This will submit it for approval. And you'll see right here, I do have an approval on there. That's why it's yellow. So very easy to make those requests right here. All right, inbox is going to show me my various tasks that are out here. So I have an address change pending. That is my address change. Oh, these are my older comments that I've done in there. Here you'll see what is actually changing. All right, and then of course I can type a comment down here if I want to reject it. I have to type a comment, or I could put one in here if I would like to do this here. If I want to just approve it, this allows me to approve it. So if I am the approver of stuff, I can do this in mobile. It doesn't work for everything right now. We are, of course, building out things in here. Like you may not see form approval here. That's not available today, where I can approve forms in here. Right. So you'll see those two things that are in there, or I should say those three things that we're leading off with, which the inbox, the pay, and upcoming time off. Now down at the bottom, you'll see some additional buttons down here. If you are allowed to clock in, first thing and be first time you use it, it's going to ask you, do you want to use your location? Now this could affect the ability to log in or clock in, I should say. If you do not allow GPS, then it will not, and there's a setting in the system that says it will require it because of geolocation, it won't allow you to clock in. So I can choose allow once, which means it's going to ask me every time, or I can say, well, while we're using the app, let's allow this. Now, just to be clear, we aren't tracking this like in real time as somebody walks around. It's only when they go to clock in or out or transfer. So that's, it snaps it when I do like a transfer or a clock out. It doesn't like keep a little trail of me walking around or driving around or something like that. It's just when it happens. So depending on what your situation is, I've got, of course, I'm in already. That's why I see transfer out for lunch and out for day. If I wasn't already in, I'd see a big in button because that would be my only option for this. Right. So you'll see right here, and let's transfer just so you can see what that looks like. This is very similar to what an in would be because you select these options. Now, what your options are as far as pay code, location, project, and task may be different. Maybe you don't have project and task. Maybe this is called job and I don't know, grant. I don't know. They may be called something different. And of course, the actual values are different as well. So that's what that would be for. All right, but here you'll see I can like change my location. I can change, this right here and change, that information right there. Now, this would allow the system to check where you are compared to your work locations. So if you had geofencing set up and you said, okay, the work location is in here, it would change the work location to match that geofence, assuming it was the only one. If there were multiple overlapping geofences, you'd get to select that one. So that's how that would work there. And then I would hit transfer to complete this. All right, so now I've clocked into that one. And of course, I can clock out for the day, clock out for lunch. Depending on my options here, I may not see out for lunch if you don't have a lunch break set up or you don't have other breaks set up. This yellow button may not be here, or if you haven't met the time frame for a break, you're not going to see this. So it's possible you don't see out for lunch. Mine is set for after 2 hours and I've been here for like 3, so it's showing me that right there. All right, so that's the clocking in and out there. Let's look at this folder icon, which is the other apps that we call them apps, the other part of self-service really that you get to. So we've already looked at pay, but there is more than just pay history. There's incomes, deductions, and taxes. So if I want to see the various income codes that I have, I can see those right here. I can see my inactive ones, my older ones, if I needed to. All right, and of course your deductions. All right, and detail of those deductions. These, of course, are not something that I can change. You're not going to have your employees go in and add it or an income or remove a deduction or something. So those aren't changeable. And here are the taxes. All right, now this one is one I recently submitted. That's why it's in yellow. And so here you'll see it's submitted and I can make a change in here if I needed to. You'll see I can also add, when I do this, it is not the form, it's just the field. So I could say, effective uh, I don't know, and let's just say in March, um, I'm going to be married and, 8,000 dependent exemption, right? And then I can submit this in here, or the fields that apply to federal. Now, of course, your state ones may be differently. This person is in Nevada, so there is no state tax. But if they were in a state that does have tax, I would be able to select that right here. You might see, as an example, California, Arizona, the various states that do have income tax. I'd be able to see those right there and update them. Okay, going down, let me do a couple of the things that are, I'll talk about these other ones, but team timesheets. So this is, let's say you're a manager and you need to approve the timesheets for your folks and look at those. You can do that. You'll see selecting a group. What period do you want to cover here? Let's just do the pay period for my weekly folks. Now it'll remember this going forward, so I don't have to select that period. And then I can, hit this here to load those timesheets. I don't know. You'll notice here, team punch, mass submit, and mass approve or reject. I believe I've done all these things in this past period, but I can go out there and submit those timesheets, approve those timesheets if I needed to. And I can also team punch for anybody who's in there. So, that date range and fill in the other information as far as project and stuff like that. So I could do that. And then once I've filled this stuff in, let me do create empty timesheets. Once I've done that, I can select which employees it applies to. So I can search for them and just, check those guys off and create a timesheet for them. Okay, so that's how that would work there for your team timesheets. Time off we've already seen, so it's the same view here. I'll just close that. We've already seen that one. I'm going to get to those. Scheduling, if you're using the scheduling, you'll be able to view your schedule within here. I don't have one right now, but let me go back to where I know I have one. And you'll see here's my schedule that's out there, and I can see my particular schedule. So if you're using scheduling, it does show that. It does also include, like, I had sick leave on this day, so I can see that there, and I can set my availability. So as part of the scheduling module, we actually have a number of enhancements coming in scheduling. So if you're interested in that, we're going to have a webinar on that in a couple of months. It's a little bit further down in our schedule. I'm not going to skip this. Here's recruiting. This will show you any open jobs where you are the hiring manager. So I'm the hiring manager of these. I can go into this one here, see the information about this. I can then also see the candidates and interact with the candidates if I need to. So here's like the basic information about Sam. And if I want to go to his various tabs that I have out there, competencies, I don't really have anything in there. Interviews that were scheduled, the question responses that he made, I can see that information out there for those candidates that I have access to. Right, learning. This will show me the learning courses that I need to do. So right now I can't run the learning. I can't actually do the on-demand through here. That is coming. So it's on our roadmap to be added to the system here where I can actually view this here. So I can run it out of there. But today I can't. I can just see what's scheduled out there for me to do for my active courses. I can also request to join a course if I need to. So if I want to do this business ethics, I can, try to add myself to this. Now that depends on your system and does it require approval and stuff like that if you have that set up. Documents. Why isn't it showing me my documents? You know what? I wonder if I may not have any documents on this person. But if I did, it's either a grid of icons of the documents. So these would be like maybe forms that the employees filled out, or perhaps there's a thing you've uploaded, like an attachment or something in their folders. You'd be able to see those here as a grid or as a list. And I apologize, I logged into somebody without documents, so I can't see them. Onboarding is a view of your onboarding. This is coming also where I can do it, but I've also completed it. So I can see the onboarding. I've already met with my people. This is my progress right here of it. I've completed 100% of it. And then these would be the different things that I would need to do, which I've already done. Timesheets is not just clocking in, it's being able to view your timesheets if you need to. So this, you may remember, I just clocked in a few minutes ago. Now, if I want to look at that timesheet, I can go out there and see, what did I work yesterday? Oh yeah, here's my my hours and stuff that I worked yesterday, and we see the detail of this. If you allow the employee to be able to edit their entries, they can do that right here. As you notice, they can delete in the upper right. So they can edit if you allow them to. And of course, if you have approvals on adding, editing, deleting, they would work through here as well. But this is showing us if I needed to add an entry because I'm allowed to, I can go out there and put in, whatever the project is, the in time, this one's a little different. It's not the like the up and down arrows. I can just, do that right there. Okay. And PM. If I wanted to type, I do have that option where I can type in 7, I can type in 7 p.m. or whatever, and enter it in there, or whatever you like to do, you can do those like that. All right, and then you'll notice here they're just showing an hour and 20 minutes, and I can save that. Now, perhaps I have approvals on there, in which case this would show there's approval. All right, now I can submit my timesheet through here. You'll notice here this is not submitted, but I can do that. If I want to just save everything, I can do that and just save that. Here you'll see I have a correction notification pop up here because I require, or I ask the person why they made a change. And so they can put in there if they need to. I don't require this, so they don't have to enter that in there. But I can submit this for approval if I would like. So this is not submitted. Here I can add attachments if I need to and put comments as the employee. And then when I'm ready to submit it, I just hit the, like I said, paper airplane. That's what I call it. All right. And type it in, or I can, sign it however I need to. If I do have a saved signature, we've got that icon right there. All right. And oh, I'm clocked in. So it won't let me because I forgot I've clocked in right now. All right, so that's how I can submit the timesheet. I think all my other ones are submitted. This one's in the future, so I don't want to submit that one there, but you can see how I could submit it. And of course, I can add a new one if I needed to put one out there for the next pay period that I haven't entered in yet. So I can create a new one if I need to. Of course, the system will create a timesheet for you when you go to clock in if you use that clock in button. And then finally is the community. So this will show the community that you have access to. So I've got various messages in my community. If you are allowed to post, in the bottom right, you can choose which community you want to post to. Expiration date, just like in self-service. Do I want to pin it to the top? What is the subject line, just like in self-service? And then what is the message? Including if I want to add images or do the fonts and all the other things you can do in self-service. So you can do a community post through here if you like. All right, so let me go back to the home page here. Now, one of the things you'll notice here is this recently used popped up, and it's the order that I was opening stuff. So community, timesheets, onboarding, et cetera. It's those things there. So if you do, you're not using pay and incoming, upcoming time off all the time, maybe there's another screen you like to go to a lot, it'll save right here. And this will persist, after I log out and come back in or close the app, come back in, it's gonna, come back and these will be here. So that is a new tile that showed up because I've used those recently. Finally, if you do have any links that you've set up in your self-service, that link button right here will show those links. So you can get to those if you need to. So that's that last icon right here, that link. All right, so high level of the mobile app, as I mentioned, we are, this is considered a beta. So we are requesting feedback. If there is anything, you can still use the other app side by side with this one. So if you need it for your production and you need whatever thing that maybe isn't here, or you just like it in the older app and you're familiar with that, that's fine. You can still use the older app for a while. We're going to have that available for you. This will come out of beta very shortly, and in which case this will be the primary app that we want people to download. The other app will still be available, as we mentioned, because we want to make sure every feature that's in the old app is here. There's still a couple that are not here yet, and once those are added, we're going to sunset the other one. Of course, we're going to reach out to anybody who is still using it, and if there's any concerns you have, let us know and say, hey, we need to make sure 100% that this feature works. We'll make sure that it works so we can test it with you and stuff like that. But this is the future. The other one will eventually be sunsetted and not available on the App Store anymore. Um, let me check the Q&A because we do have a few minutes here. Nicole, I'm going to go from up here. Right now, we don't show company events. That's on the roadmap to be showing company events. So that'll be available. You'll be able to see, basically, they'll be just like these here within this folder. Company events will be available to view right there. If you don't use one of the apps here, let's say you're not using recruiting, that is because I have access to it in my security profile. So if you're not using recruiting as an example, you're not a hiring manager, or maybe you're using recruiting, but you're not a hiring manager, you're not going to see it. But if your security says you don't see scheduling or learning or whatever, you won't see that icon there. Right, so that's which apps will be available right there. Like if you're not using payroll as an example, you're not going to see this because it's not available to you. You don't have payroll, you won't see that right there. You don't have the app icons instead of a list of the apps. So that was the oops. Let me go back into there. You get to see my kids there for a second. Oh, come on, search. There we go. You don't see a list of the apps. I'm not aware of it not showing. You see a list of the apps instead of this. I'm not aware of it presenting that. So send us feedback, or we can reach out to you and see what's going on. Because I've always seen it as this way. But if you're seeing a list, then that's interesting. We'll have to look into that. I can check with our developers on that too. The facial recognition, yes. So it's a good question about that. I can't enable it because of the way I'm presenting my screen. But it did ask if I wanted to use biometrics when I logged in. That would use if you have a phone that supports, facial recognition, it would use that. If you only have one that uses your fingerprint, it would use your fingerprint. Of course, if you have neither of those, you don't have that option. But that is something you can also enable. If you didn't enable it up front, you can enable it right here. As I mentioned, it's because of the way I'm sharing, I can't turn this on. If I was sharing on my phone instead of the way I have it going here, I would be able to turn this on. And if you're familiar with iPhone, it like shows a little face and it does a little check marks down and everything. And that enables it. And that means that next time you go to open the app, it'll use your face to log in. Like it won't immediately log in. It will use your face to log in, and then you'll be in the system. So if you don't have this enabled, it's going to ask for your password. As long as you've checked that box that says "Remember me," it'll then ask for that. If you unchecked it, it will always ask you for your password. If you have this enabled, to use your whatever biometrics you have, whether it's fingerprint or facial recognition. Um, Jordan asked, do we have the ability to show the shared documents? I don't believe that's in there right now. The company documents, I don't think they're there. I have some and I don't see them. So I believe that's on the roadmap there. I do want to switch over to our upcoming schedule because we have a couple minutes left, but we'll answer the questions. I know there's been a lot of questions asked and we're answering them in real time, but I do want to share our upcoming schedule with you so you can see that. Why don't I see PowerPoint? Oh, here we go. So here's our upcoming schedule out for the next 4 sessions up into March. So you'll see here Affordable Care Act reporting. So if you need to do Affordable Care Act reporting, your 1094, 1095s, in 2 weeks, we're going to cover that. The reason we don't do it right before the end of the month is because it's not due to the IRS and stuff until March. So you have a little bit of time if you want to start working on it now. Of course, there's help out there. We cover this every year. It hasn't really changed from one year to the next. So you can go back to last year's. If you want to do it today, you can revisit last year's video. Middle of February, which sounds crazy to me because it's still beginning of January to me. Shift rates. So this is something, if you use shift differentials, then you will show you how to set up shift rates, how they work and stuff like that. It's sort of a payroll topic. So shift rates are there. We're going to revisit Affordable Care Act reporting because sometimes the 30th doesn't work for you, and so we're going to revisit it. We always do it twice. It'll be a repeat of the stuff we're covering on the 30th. So you don't have to attend both, but you're certainly welcome to if you need to do reporting and you have questions. And then in March, amazingly, in March, we're going to be covering overtime rules. So if you are interested in how those work and how the system would calculate overtime, we will be discussing that in March. And we do have a very exciting calendar going up, exciting as it can be for HR and payroll information, all the way through the end of the year. So if you do have an idea, if it's something you think we haven't covered and it's an important topic to you, we're of course open to adding those topics. I've tried to put everything in there at least once. And but if there's something you're interested in, let us know. Reach out to us. As you can see, help at criterionhcm.com will help put it on our radar. But if you have other questions about mobile or anything else in the system, please reach out, help at criterionhcm.com, or your partner if you're working with a partner, and we will get back to you and help you out as soon as we can. So thank you for joining us today. Hope you enjoy the new mobile app. Provide us your feedback, and looking forward to see you again all in a couple of weeks. Thank you so much.